Hi everyone, this is a tarot collecting video. I repeat, this is a tarot collecting video. I would like to show you a couple of editions, different editions for the tarot that is known as Tarot Pointner 1974 by Piatnik, Wien. A lot of us search for this deck or call this deck Piatnik deck, but Piatnik's actually a publishing company which produced or produces, I'm not quite sure if they're still operational, a lot of decks. And so it is more productive if you search this particular tarot deck under Pointner Tarot 1974 by Piatnik Wien. Someone told me Piatnik Wien simply means Piatnik of Vienna, and this particular tarot deck, I believe, is printed or produced in Austria. So one is a large box like this one here. It is packaged like board games. And so when someone and I were talking about our respective copy, we were trying to figure out if we were talking about the same deck. As we described the packaging, things got a bit confusing because she said it's large, it has this plasticky thingy, and she said the deck split into two and there's a book in the middle. Mine, on the other hand, came like this. It's just a simple tuck box, and that's it, with a small booklet. And so let's have a look quickly at the main differences. So other than the packaging, the main differences is really minute. First of all, let's have a look at the booklet. Naturally, this one here has a smaller, thinner booklet, like so. It is also only in English, this booklet here. The paper seems to have yellowed a lot, and so I am wondering if the paper here isn't as good a quality as this one here. Now, I can't seem to find the exact year that these were produced or printed. All I have here is a copyright of 1975. Now, that does not necessarily say or indicate the year of production, I think. I can't be sure. In any case, I can only, I suppose, to be accurate, I can only comment on the particular two editions that I have with me, because the differences between this one here and that one there in terms of cardstock and in terms of paper, bleaching or yellowing could potentially be a result of how each of these were stored by the previous owners before they came to me, or the aging process could have been a reflection of the inherent quality of the cardstock and of the paper used in the booklet. In any case, putting that aside for now, this one here, this booklet here, is thicker, bigger. The one in the bigger box, two color, red and black. It has a photo of the artist, Rudolf Pointner. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I can't be sure. I think he's passed away. He was born seemingly 1907. I don't speak, I don't read or write German, so I'm just guessing. You can Google him, and his information on him is quite easily available. And so German, English. So mainly German first and then English. And the booklet here are just English over here. Right there. Interesting note here on both booklets. It says that this followed the French tradition because the cards follow the French pattern, as France is the country of tarot research and the intention was to retain the original characteristic. So it's interesting that they've considered the French pattern to be the original, well, not original tarot, but original characteristics of the French pattern is aimed here. And the interesting part for me is that France is a country of research. I thought that was an interesting assertion. And so look at the cards. I'm going to show you only the major arcana, and I'm not going to go through all the cards, but just to illustrate the main differences, I'm going to take Le Mat, or the Fool. As you can see, the right hand is from the single box, small box, English edition. The left is from the big box, German English booklet. German English editions, I would assume that is German edition, I'm not sure. So as you can see, the coloring is slightly different in hue and saturation. It feels like the small English box is more saturated. The coloring is a bit more vibrant, just by a tiny bit. The cardstock feels a little thicker in the small tuck box, but I can't be sure because it's such a fraction. The cardstock seems to be a little bit more bleached on the big box there on the left. On the right is a bit more natural looking almost, or that could be a sign of more aging. So unless I can determine when each of these were printed, I can't be sure if what we're looking at here is a reflection of aging rather than inherent quality of cardstock or paper. The one in this small box, at least in my edition, at least in my version of it, my copy, has bowed a little there on the right. And as far as I can see, there's no worn, there's no sign, there's minimal sign of wear. So I can assume that this hasn't been used too much, the small one here, although the box is a little beaten up. And so other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. And once more, instead of saying Piatnik Tarot, because Piatnik is like US Games, they're a production house, I would call this, and I would do searches on this particular deck by searching Tarot Pointner 1974 by Piatnik Wien, or Piatnik and Zona Wien, Piatnik and Son of Vienna, I'm thinking. So yeah, so that's basically the difference. I did not purposely seek the two editions, but I was looking for a second copy as a backup copy, and I have stopped doing that now, buying backup copies, but at the time I was still searching for backup copies, and somehow ended up with the two editions. And I thought, given the confusion that often, the confusion that happened between myself and a friend upon talking about this particular deck, I thought that might be of some use to you if you are researching this particular deck. Now, Tom Benjamin has this particular edition off eBay for $50. The prices that I've seen so far ranges from $100 to $150 US. But I personally, when I buy, I tend to research the lowest price of sale historically, and work my way around the lowest price rather than the average price or the highest price, for obvious reasons, because I am buying. If you sell, you might want to look at the highest price just to know the range between the lowest and the highest. But I think to buy, for me personally, it's probably more useful to research the lowest price. So the lowest price for this deck was $50 US, and I believe Tom Benjamin's copy is in a lot better condition than mine. His box, I think, is much better. The other person who owns this copy or this deck in the big box edition is Bobby. On YouTube, and on Instagram, she's the Ragged Poet. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope that's been useful.